Do you ever feel like you miss a lot of putts that you should make because you're pushing them or pulling them offline, or maybe you're not even sure why you're missing them? I understand that frustration. And in this video, we're going to help you with figuring out why you push and pull putts and how to fix it. But not only that, surprisingly, it very well might be that you miss putts left or right, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with your stroke. You make a perfect stroke and still miss left or right. We're also going to talk about that and how to fix it. So let's get started. So you miss putts left and right, and for many of us it's because we pull or push during our stroke, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But a lot of times you might have an absolutely perfect stroke and you still miss to the left or right. That's because you aren't aimed where you think you are. I see a lot of people a lot of times, and they're lined up. We'll use the ball here. They're lined up and they think the target line is here, but they're set up where they're aimed over here. Off instead of here, they're aimed over here, or instead of here, they're aimed over here. You see those guys out on the golf course too. You stand behind them and you're waiting your turn and you watch their putts, and it's like, man, he's aiming over here, but then the putt goes over there. What happens is we line up wrong. We don't have our putter face square to the target line, and we're missing. And a lot of those guys end up making some putts sometimes because what happens is their subconscious causes them to develop, if their consistent miss is left, they'll develop a push stroke to compensate for that, and they'll sometimes get the ball in the hole. We want to fix that. So let's talk about two ways really quick to make sure you're aimed at your target line. By the way, we're doing a video, the next video that we're doing on this channel is a video on how to perfect your eye alignment with the ball in the hole every single time. There's you a reason to subscribe so you won't miss that content when it comes out. Let's talk about one way to fix this problem. Get yourself a set of alignment sticks and line the sticks up absolutely directly at your target line. So I think my target line is there. Then what you do is you set up your putter on that target line, and now of course you make sure that your shoulders and hips and feet are square to that target line, but you get used to this feeling of this is what it looks like when you are aimed where you think you're aimed. Because a lot of times I see people set up, this is their target line, but they're aimed with their putter face like this. So a couple of alignment sticks pointed exactly at your target line, set up over that where you know that you're square to that, and then get used to the look and feel of that. A lot of us have issues with perception, and you've heard me, if you are on this channel, you've heard me talk about before that putting is like we're going this way, but it's like we're driving the car down the road like this. Using those alignment sticks will help you a lot with that. Another solution is to take a credit card, put it down, you can put your ball on the credit card or whatever, and then line up where you have the card is square to your line, where your putter is square to that credit card. You'll be amazed at how much this will affect and improve your putting. So I'm set up to the card, and look at that, my putter face is open. That's actually several degrees open. So I want to square that up. Get in the habit of, okay, this is what square looks like. This is what square feels like, and you'll be amazed at how often you're set up. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but you're set up a little off. That's going to be a pull, or you're set up a little open that way. That's going to be a push. You have to get in the habit of being completely square. If you do that and work on that, you can work on that at home if the weather's not suitable for golf where you are. You can work on that all the time. But setting up with your putter face square, if you have a great stroke, that will solve a lot of problems for you. So once we know for certain that you are lined up, your putter face is square and aimed at your target, let's talk about why you might push or pull putts because of your stroke. And it all comes down to opening or closing the putter face. And we're going to talk about how to fix that. Two problems or reasons that you push and pull putts. One is a head and shoulders problem. And no, I'm not talking about the dandruff shampoo. Gosh, just mentioning that makes my head itch. Anyway, I'm not talking about the dandruff shampoo. I'm talking about a head and shoulders problem that's caused, it's basically your alignment. Here's what I see people do a lot of times. We'll put a ball down here. All right. Lined up at their putt, lined up on their target line, and then they're looking at the hole, and notice how much my shoulders move when I pick up my head to look at the hole. Come around here a little bit, Mr. Cameraman, so we get that. I want people to see that, and I'll turn towards you a little bit like that. Okay, there we go. So I'm looking up at the target. It's hard for me to do it because I so get out of the habit. You see people do this every round of golf that you play. They're lined up, they're over the ball, they go to look at the target, and they move their whole body like this. Then their head comes back, but notice my shoulders didn't come back all the way. Now I'm aligned left, and I don't even realize it. And they look up and do it again, and now I'm a foot left of the target just because I moved my shoulders. So learn, practice, teach yourself. Get over the putt. These are lined up on my target line. They stay still. Now I look at the hole by moving my head. My shoulders don't move, just my head. You've got to learn to do that. That'll help you keep your alignment. For a lot of you, you're missing putts to the left or right and you don't know why. That's it. Once you solve that, it'll save you a huge number of strokes. Now, another thing that we do that causes our head and shoulders problem is we peak early. Like we're making the stroke on the putt and we do this action. And I exaggerated again, but I pulled my head up too soon and hit the putt off of the toe. We do that kind of thing an awful lot. So here's what I want you to do. And to do this, you need to have a little rhythm with your putting. Everybody ought to have putting tempo. In fact, we do a lot of videos on this channel on putting tempo, which will help your speed and distance control. It'll help you be consistent in hitting your target line. Yeah, there's you another reason to subscribe. But what you should do when you're over the putt is you have a little bit of tempo. But the tempo is about like stroke, contact, stroke, contact, stroke, contact. Then I add one more step to that. Stroke, contact, look. Stroke, contact, look. Stroke, contact, look. And you hold your head and hold your eyes in that position where the ball should be for one extra beat. And I'll try to demonstrate that for you here. Stroke, contact, look. And you don't look at the putt or the ball rolling for that one beat, because what happens is if you don't, it's stroke, contact, and our head is up early because we get so excited about seeing the ball go in the hole. I tell you, on the short ones, it's a lot more exciting to not see it go in the hole, but to hear it go in the hole. That's the most amazing sound in golf. That's even better than that big whip and the flush contact, hearing that ball drop in the cup, because that's the goal. Third problem, and the second reason that you might push and pull putts, is not only a head and shoulders problem, but a hand problem. And what happens with our hand problem is two possibilities. One is we grip the putt too loosely. You know, I've heard my whole life people talk about, oh, you need to hold the putter in your hands like you're holding a baby bird. I don't run around holding baby birds, and I don't have a clue how to hold one or if I'm too tight or too loose or not. The other thing is, I don't buy that at all. Think about it this way. Putter head has some weight to it. And if I grip the putter head too loosely, I can't control that weight because this is a lever. And the weight on the end of that lever gets to moving because of gravity. It's just the laws of physics. So I have to grip the putter head firm enough to control that. Had a guy a while back contacted me, wanted to know if I did private lessons, and I met him out on the golf course and we worked on a lesson. This guy's a single-digit handicapper, and he's making some strokes for me, and I'm asking him what his problem is. He says, well, I just miss the line a lot of times. This guy has a beautiful putting stroke, and his distance control is good. He's always close to the hole, but he didn't have a consistent miss left or right. It was just a consistent miss either direction. And I'm wondering, how do I help this guy? And then I ask him, how hard are you gripping the putter? How firmly, tightly are you holding? He said, oh, just barely. I'm just barely have it in my hands. And sure enough, you start watching, and right at impact, his putter was going like that. And I said, why don't you grip it as tightly as you possibly can? Give me a 10 or 11 on grip. And I said, okay, now back off of that a little bit. Make some strokes. All of a sudden, the ball's going straight up his line and into the hole. And so I suggested to him, and this is what I do, grip the putter as firmly as you can grip it without creating tension in your hands and arms. That's strong enough to control this putter head and make sure it stays square to the line. And yeah, certainly a putter like my Honu or a putter like Lab Golf's putters will help with that, because they don't, they're built and designed such that they don't naturally want to rotate and twist offline, but you still want to grip the putter firmly enough that you keep that head square from out rotating. So that's one hand problem. Oh, and by the way, if you grip it with consistent grip pressure, in other words, and I mean by consistent grip pressure on every putt and consistent grip pressure throughout the stroke, you'll control speed and distance much better, so that even if you do miss the line and you miss the putt, you're closer to the hole and you tell 3 putts to go bye-bye. Second hand problem is one hand or the other. For most right-handed golfers, their right hand is the dominant. It's the right hand that takes over, and they pull putts, and then to resist that, they start lightening up with their right hand or whatever, and they end up pushing them, and they have this inconsistency. Let's talk about how to fix that if you have one hand that's over dominant of the other. What we're trying to avoid here is this. This is bad. This is good. And we want to get to this. So to keep your right hand, right wrist from rolling over and taking control, there's 2 solutions. So what happens is most people grip the putter with their right hand. They get their right hand a little too much on top. We'd call this in a full swing with an iron or a driver, a weak grip. But their right hand is too far on the top, and so during the stroke, the right wrist just naturally rolls and closes the putter face. If that's the problem for you, you might try gripping. I use a Paul Runyon style grip, and I'm well under. I have my grip rotated. By the way, the grip is worn out, and the putter, people worry about the Honu putter and the wood getting beat up. The putter is great after 5 years, but the grip is worn out, and this is the second grip, so it's time for a third. Back to that, Paul Runyon's a little bit under, and I have my grip rotated because I like that to fit in the web of my hand. But notice, with my wrist like this, it's much harder, much easier for my wrist to turn and flip this way. Underneath, it just doesn't have as much flexion, if you will. And I don't know if that's the right biological, physiological term, but hope you understand what I mean. So one thing is you can grip more under. Now, if gripping more under, more palms up like that is not comfortable to you, and I get it, it's not comfortable for a lot of people, there's another solution. And that's set up on your putts. Take your grip first with your left hand, and then I want you to put your right hand on the putter. Put your right hand on it with this middle finger, not trying to flip you off, but with this middle finger running down your gripper shaft. And we don't grip, just hold it there with your palm and make some putts that way. So even if you're very right hand dominant, you're letting your left hand control it. And what you do is you develop the feel of that right wrist and hand staying square. And that will help you a lot. And then after you do that, you can go back to gripping the putter, but maintaining that feel. So it's that keeping the right hand square and flush, keeping that palm directly at the hole, or if you want to bring it down here to a stroke, your palm directly up the target line, just like you would if you were rolling a ball on the ground. So if you're struggling missing putts left and right, pushing or pulling putts, it might be that you're not aligned properly. I gave you a couple of choices to help on that. It might be that you're moving your head and shoulders either before or during the stroke. I gave you some solutions for that. It might be that you've got one hand taking control over the stroke, or that you have that tendency and you're now making an adjustment. Your right hand takes over like this, so you start pushing putts, and that's darn near impossible because you've got to time it up perfectly. Gave you a solution for that. You know the other drill. Like, subscribe, comment, and share. Also, subscribe to our email list. Shoot us an email. Tell us what you'd like help with. I'll send you good information once a week and won't spam you to death. And here's to you making more putts.